Here's the thing, folks. Barbara Corcoran doesn't just sell houses, she sells impossibilities. Sure, you've seen her slicing through pitches on Shark Tank or throwing around million-dollar handshakes like confetti. But behind the cameras, there's a lifestyle most real estate moguls can't touch because they don't have the guts. A $100 million empire built from pocket change. Designer everything but flies commercial. Family dinners worth more than board meetings. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. She's ruthless, maternal, extravagant, and humble. Sometimes all in the same conversation. And once you see how the queen of Manhattan real estate actually lives, you'll understand why even her biggest competitors don't know whether to copy her playbook or just accept they never could. Let's dive in. Now, most people think Barbara's origin story is some rags to riches fairy tale. It's not. It's a survival manual written in crayon by a kid nobody believed in. Florence Corcoran didn't just raise children, she ran a small corporation disguised as a family. Every dollar stretched, each decision calculated, and every lesson absorbed by a little girl who the teachers had already written off as hopeless. School was Barbara's personal nightmare. Dyslexia turned every classroom into a battlefield she couldn't win. While other kids sailed through assignments, Barbara fought for every grade, every gold star, every moment of recognition that seemed to come so easily to everyone else. But here's what nobody saw coming. That struggle was building something unstoppable. Fast forward to 1973, and that struggling kid had transformed into something Wall Street wasn't ready for. With nothing but a $1,000 loan and the kind of confidence that either makes you rich or breaks you completely, Barbara didn't just enter real estate, she reinvented it. Fast forward to 1973, and that same confidence walked into Manhattan real estate with exactly $1,000 and zero backup plans. Most people would call that reckless. Barbara called it a Tuesday. The Corcoran Group didn't launch from some glass tower. It started in an office the size of a closet, where Barbara discovered her superpower wasn't selling apartments. It was selling dreams with square footage attached. Cozy studio meant romantic hideaway. Needs work became endless potential. Overpriced transformed into exclusive opportunity. While her competitors obsessed over comps and market analysis, Barbara was rewriting the emotional rulebook of real estate. She understood something Wall Street types missed. People don't buy properties. They buy the life they imagine living there. 28 years later, that $1,000 gamble exploded into a $66 million payday when she sold to NRT. Not bad for the kid who barely graduated college. But here's the twist. Selling her company wasn't retirement. It was intermission. When Shark Tank premiered in 2009, most people saw reality TV. Barbara saw her next hunting ground. And unlike her fellow sharks who got lost in spreadsheets and projections, Barbara bet on something completely different. Gut feelings about the person across the table. She'd stare entrepreneurs in the eye and see herself at 25, broke, desperate, and absolutely convinced she was going to change everything. Sometimes she was right, sometimes she was wrong, but she was never boring. The scoreboard doesn't lie. Nearly 700 deals evaluated, 80 businesses funded, 30% profitability rate. In 2024 alone, she closed 130 deals, including a $350,000 investment for 40% of a company she believed in. But here's what separates Barbara from every other investor on television. She doesn't just write checks, she adopts entrepreneurs. Every handshake is someone getting the shot she almost never got. Success at that level comes with perks, and Barbara enjoys every single one, but not how you'd expect. You'd think someone worth $100 million would charter private jets everywhere, right? Wrong. Barbara's travel style is strategic. She flies JetBlue first class for efficiency, not ego. But when she lands, Four Seasons hotels exclusively, where staff know her coffee order before she checks in and her privacy is non-negotiable. Her real estate moves still make headlines. In 2025, she flipped her Manhattan penthouse in exactly one day, not because she needed the money, but because she could. It's the ultimate flex disguised as business efficiency. Then there's the property that made everyone scratch their heads, a $800,000 double wide in the Pacific Palisades. Most billionaires would call that slumming. Barbara called it smart until California wildfires claimed it in January 2025. Most people would see devastation. Barbara saw another lesson. But don't mistake her realistic moments for penny pinching. This is a woman who drops 6 figures on jewelry that tells stories, like the diamond watch she bought herself after her first $10 million year, or the custom platinum necklace featuring her children's birthstones. Weekend ski trips to Aspen, where she owns timeshares at the most exclusive resorts. Beach houses rented for entire seasons, not weekends. Shopping sprees that would fund most people's retirement accounts. She spends like someone who remembers being broke but refuses to live like it. The most expensive investment she ever made, though, had nothing to do with properties or portfolios. Valentine's Day, 1988. Barbara married Bill Higgins, and the timing wasn't romantic coincidence. It was vintage Barbara strategy. Together, they've raised Tom and Kate in a household where designer handbags coexist with chore charts, where private school tuition comes with public school values. Barbara's parenting philosophy? I encouraged my children to work jobs while they were young and allowed them to fail. They developed independence and self-pride. No trust funds or guaranteed inheritances, just the same determination that built a fortune from nothing. But then life threw Barbara a curveball she couldn't negotiate around. When her mother Florence developed Alzheimer's disease, most people in Barbara's position would have hired the best care money could buy and visited on weekends. Not Barbara. She dove in head first, changing diapers, managing medications, watching the woman who taught her everything slowly disappear. It was heartbreaking and transformative, teaching Barbara that some battles can't be won with confidence and checkbooks. But even grief became education. That experience ignited something bigger than personal growth. It sparked Barbara's systematic approach to giving back. After navigating Alzheimer's care, she founded an organization supporting other caregivers dealing with patient agitation. But her philanthropy reaches far beyond personal experience. Education programs, women's empowerment initiatives, entrepreneurship funding, all strategic, all personal, all designed for maximum impact. Barbara gives the same way she invests, with her heart and her head in equal measure. Speaking of smart investments, Barbara figured out early that her voice was worth as much as her bank account. Her podcast empire, 888 Barbara, Business Unusual with Barbara, and The Millionaire Broker weren't passion projects. They were profit centers. Combined with speaking engagements commanding six-figure fees, consulting opportunities, and continued Shark Tank success, Barbara diversified her income streams like a Wall Street pro. Her calendar books months in advance with Fortune 500 companies desperate to learn how she turns rejection into rocket fuel. She understood what most successful people miss. Your expertise is inventory, and your story is your brand. And Barbara's daily routine? It's as unconventional as everything else about her. No 5 a.m. meditation or green juice cleanses. She starts most mornings with regular coffee, not some artisanal blend, and whatever's in her fridge, usually leftovers from the night before, because Barbara's not too proud to eat yesterday's takeout for breakfast. Her workout routine is equally no nonsense. While other moguls hire personal trainers and build home gyms, Barbara hits the slopes whenever possible or takes long beach walks. She treats exercise like business meetings necessary, but they better be efficient and enjoyable. The woman who built an empire still does her own grocery shopping, still argues with customer service representatives, still gets genuinely excited about finding a good parking spot in Manhattan. It's these small moments that keep her grounded while living in penthouses. Of course, living in the spotlight means your mistakes get amplified along with your victories. Barbara has faced her share of controversies, from tone-deaf comments about loving to fire employees to advice that struck people as out of touch with economic reality. The most expensive mistake wasn't even hers. A sophisticated scammer convinced her bookkeeper to wire $388,700 to a fake assistant. Even billionaires aren't immune to clever criminals. But the most revealing controversy was her Shark Tank near disaster. 1 week before filming began, producers rescinded her offer. Most people would have accepted defeat and moved on. Barbara wrote one email, one perfectly crafted, strategically brilliant email that saved her career and changed television history. That email represents everything about Barbara's approach to life. When the world says no, find a way to make it say yes. Her social media presence reflects this never-quit philosophy perfectly. Barbara shares family moments, business insights, and motivational content that builds community while building her brand. She gets that authenticity is the ultimate luxury in an age of manufactured personalities. Every post reinforces the same message. Success is possible if you're willing to work for it and smart enough to learn from it. Barbara lives in two worlds simultaneously. One where she's still that struggling kid from Jersey who fights for every victory. Another where she's a $100 million mogul who can buy anything she wants. She flies commercial but stays at 5-star resorts, builds empires and changes diapers, closes million-dollar deals and cries over family photos, smart enough to avoid most pitfalls, trusting enough to lose $400,000 to scammers. She splurges on designer everything while teaching her kids that money is earned, not inherited, keeps family life private while sharing business wisdom with millions. Whether that makes her the most successful contradiction in business or the most authentic empire builder depends on your perspective. But one thing's undeniable. Barbara Corcoran didn't just build wealth. She built a blueprint for turning struggle into strength, rejection into resilience, and dreams into empires that last. And that's worth more than any commission check could ever buy.